All right, time now for another episode of Just Hanging with the Nosebleed Seats. Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiafalo. I'm Jared Sandler. It is National Dessert Day, so in a little bit we are going. Do I need to get my? I don't have a mug. I don't drink coffee, but hold on. Let me.
What a loser, man! What a loser, man!
All right. I can go get like an empty mug next time and just pinky out and start sipping.
Well, that's what everybody else does on these shows. We might as well. They probably have water in there.
All right, National Dessert Day. We're going to get to some of our favorite desserts, but I want to talk about Zeke. I got into a debate with some folks on Twitter recently, got into a debate with folks on the Autoflex Lease fan text, 105.3 The Fan over the pandemic. I am not the world's biggest Zeke lover. And the reason this is relevant, instead of just talking about Dak, blah, 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 is Zeke capable of leading an offense? Is he capable of, and I know that, the Ravens have Lamar, but, the Ravens have a run-heavy offense. They're built on the run. Are the Cowboys, do they have the running back who is good enough to lead them the way a running back needs to these days with all the numbers out there, the analytics, to kind of be the horse of this offense with Andy Dalton at the helm? And my answer is no, I don't think so. I'll get to my thoughts on Zeke in a second. I'm curious, do you guys still think that Zeke can be the 2016 and 2018 version of Ezekiel Elliott? I have no doubt that he's going to compile yards, but 100-yard games are not all equal. And I think we're seeing that, or we've seen that with Zeke here over the last year or so.
Yes. Okay. There's a lot to go into this, and I think that a lot of this comes back to why I think we all feel you probably shouldn't pay the running back, because there's a lot of guys that you can shuffle in there and still get similar production. You also don't have the elite offensive line that you had in 2016 in Zeke's rookie year. You've got injuries that are happening here. You got two starting backup tackles. And clearly you got a rookie center as well, who I like a lot. I like Tyler Biadasz. I think he's going to be a good player, but he is a rookie. And, you even saw the growing pains when Andy Dalton first got into the game, and you have that muffed snap, right? So the offensive line is not as good as it was. I still do believe in Ezekiel Elliott, and I do think he's still one of the top 10 running backs in the NFL. For me, even top 5 personally. I disagree with you there, Jared. I think physically, Zeke is in the best shape he's been since those years you mentioned, specifically the 2016 rookie year. And I do think he's capable of holding down that kind of workload. I think we saw it when the team was really reeling. When you lose your starting quarterback, you've just had that fumble, as I talked about, with Andy Dalton and Tyler Biadasz, and you needed a drive to settle the team down. And they went to 21. And he came through for them, and they moved the football very well. And I know we've all been getting on them for first down runs, but Zeke was averaging 9 yards a pop there for a little while on those first down carries. I think he is capable. I think Ezekiel Elliott hasn't had to be utilized in the same way that they did his rookie year, but I think that he's ready and he's capable of this kind of opportunity and challenge. I agree with everything you said last week in terms of him not being an elite receiving back. I think that's very, very apparent. He's not giving you that same kind of production that an Alvin Kamara and a Christian McCaffrey and even an Aaron Jones does out of the backfield. But just as a pure runner, I do believe he's going to be able to carry a team. You can hand the ball to him, roughly 20 times a game if need be. And he can help Andy Dalton for the first couple of games kind of get a feel for things, and for Kellen Moore as well to kind of feel for, all right, this is a play that Andy likes. This is a play that, maybe we would have ran with Dak that Andy's not as comfortable with. And, I don't think the offense has to change too drastically. I still think Andy Dalton is a capable player, and certainly your receivers on the outside might be your best players. But I'm not really concerned about Zeke being able to carry a heavier workload if you need him to, until Andy Dalton kind of really starts to click within this offense.
Yeah, I think he can carry a heavier workload, but I think it's almost unfair to even ask one guy, especially a running back, to carry the team when you're dealing with the offensive line that he's dealing with. I mean, he's barely averaging 4 yards a carry this year, and it's not all his fault. A lot of it has to do, the running back position is very dependent on the guys around him. And this year, the guys around him have, all of his starters have gone down. He's got Zach Martin, and that's the only recognizable face practically on his offensive line. And so I just think it's unfair to ask Zeke or really any running back to do that. Jared, you mentioned Baltimore as a team that runs the ball and that's sort of their DNA, but it's not just, hey, Lamar Jackson, go figure it out. It's you have a scheme that's built around it. Your offensive coordinator, your play caller, the design, like the way they do all that stuff from a schematic standpoint sets them up for great success. I don't think Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy have shown that at any point in their career that they have the type of running game from a schematic and conceptual standpoint like a Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco or like what Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator in Baltimore, is doing. And it's a by committee. It's Lamar Jackson's running it. On the next play, it's Ingram or Dobbins or whoever they want to do. It's not just one guy. And so I don't think it's fair to ask Zeke to be able to do that. And the other thing is, I just read a quote from Patrick Peterson. The Cowboys are about to Monday night at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Patrick Peterson, their corner. And he's already quoted as saying, our goal is to stop the running game. Our goal is to stop Ezekiel Elliott. We want to force Andy Dalton to beat us. And I think that's going to be the mindset of a lot of these teams right now. And it might actually work in the Cowboys' favor because they're better at throwing the ball, I think, even with Andy Dalton, than they are at just turning around and just trying to force feed Ezekiel Elliott. I'm down with Zeke getting a bigger workload, but I'd like to see that more in the second half once you've thrown your way into a little bit of a lead here. I think defenses, with Andy Dalton in particular as the quarterback, are going to be doing everything they can to just say, hey, listen, we're not going to allow Zeke to beat us, even though I think it's flawed because I don't think Zeke can beat you anyway right now with this offensive line. But I think that's the way it's going to go. Andy Dalton's going to get a lot of opportunities throwing the football because there's going to be 7-8 guys in the box pretty often.
So a few things. One, here's where Zeke, and we all agree on this, is undeniably incredibly valuable with this shaky offensive line. His ability in pass protection is maybe as good as any running backs in the league.
Yeah, he's the best in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with, and the better example I should have given, and you made a good point, Eric, about building the offense around it, but Cleveland, because they don't have the running quarterback like Lamar. I mean, they've created an offensive line that's very conducive to running the ball with Nick Chubb when he's healthy and Kareem Hunt and every other running back that they decided to use against the Cowboys because that all seemed to work.
Well, and that's a great point because it's a very basic, from a schematic standpoint, Cleveland doesn't do anything that is, brand new. We've never seen it, a bunch of nuance. It's just, hey,
Cowboys
our offense
beats you.
Now,
same thing.
Yeah. Now,
it's what DeMarco Murray ran for a rushing title in 2014. It's the same scheme.
So I have no issue with, like, if you ask me, is Zeke physically able to take on a bigger workload? Absolutely. I hope so. Here's my issue with Zeke. And, whenever you tell someone you don't think a player's as good as they think, then I think the automatic assumption is, you think he's bad. I don't think Zeke's bad. Sure. I don't think he's good enough to have an offense built around him. And obviously that wasn't the Cowboys' plan. And I don't know that it's their plan moving forward, but here's what concerns me about Zeke. Zeke in 2016 led the NFL in runs of 20 plus yards. And he had 14. No one else had more than 11. So, that, relatively speaking, that's somewhat significant. Last year, he started to show a lack of, whether you want to call it burst or big playability, explosion, I don't know, call it whatever you want. But we started to see him falter there. Last year, he averaged 4.5 yards per carry, and he had only four runs of 20 or more yards, despite the fact that only Derrick Henry ran the ball more than Zeke did. And then this year, he's only had one of those runs. And as you mentioned, he's averaging just barely over 4 yards per carry. Now, obviously, the offensive line has something to do with it. The offensive line also had something to do with his success in 2016. So, the offensive line is a variable, but you can't give Zeke all the credit in 2016 and then, take the blame and split it up in 2020. And not that you guys were or anyone was. But I think that, in combination with the offensive line, I think that's in part why you can't just totally shift your identity offensively. If you're going to try and compete and win games, do you give Zeke the rock more? Yeah, you probably do with Dalton as your quarterback compared to Dak. But I don't think that now's the time to shift your offensive identity because I don't think the offensive line is good enough, and I don't think Zeke is good enough for you to do that. And there's no shame in Zeke not being good enough. I mean, hell, I think Saquon Barkley's a better running back. but his results haven't been good because he's played in an awful environment. So, it's not like it's easy to overcome that environment. I think a lot of people, I guess what turns me off is there are people who I think they still feel like Zeke is like a 1,500-yard rusher. And I just don't think he is. The numbers certainly back that up, but just the eye test. If they're 3 yards to get, Zeke will get those 3 yards. If the play, the environment of the play allows for 3 yards, he'll get you 3 yards. And maybe every once in a while he'll get you 4. He could get you 5 as well. But he's not giving you that big play ability the way that I think he used to. And I just think with how dominant and how explosive the Cowboys passing attack is, it's tough to just stay, 4 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards, 5. I mean, because there are big plays out there and he's not giving them to you.
Well, to Eric's point, if teams are going to stack the box, go for it. Go ahead and man up Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. Andy Dalton's good enough to beat you if you want to man up those guys, because those receivers are good enough. Even, with Dalton Schultz, who I've been super critical of, he's proven that he can at least give you something in the passing game. Not to say he's a great player, but he's at least been a serviceable starting tight end in place of a Blake Jarwin. So I think that bodes well for the Cowboys. I guess for me it is because I felt the same way you did, Jared, with Zeke in the offseason. But I think, and it's not to the extent, he's never going to get back to that same kind of explosive home run hitting ability that he had his rookie year coming out of Ohio State. But you are starting to see a little bit more of those elusive tackle breaking, make a player miss an open field type of runs through the first 5 weeks than I think we saw it all last year. And for me, that's pointing in a positive trajectory for Zeke, to where I'm a little bit more optimistic we can get some more chunk plays from Zeke, even with a below average offensive line right now.
Where I think Zeke could, be really valuable, and he still is like physically a force second half of games.
No doubt.
If you can get a first half lead, which I don't know if this defense will ever allow that, but if you can get a first half lead and you don't want, Andy Dalton having to make a ton of decisions, I think you can wear a defense down with Zeke. I just, building an attack with the plan of Zeke being the focal point, to me, just, it's not. Now, running game, if you want to add Tony Pollard in the mix, if you trust him, and let's get him off of kickoff returns, but if you want to like mix and match Thunder Lightning, that's fine. I also wonder, and I know you guys discussed this, I think, on the show, but how capable is Andy Dalton with these receivers to have this type of success that would make people think, hey, this can still be a pass first offense? Because I think right now there are people who are like, maybe. And some people are like, yeah, I mean, he should be fine. But a lot of people obviously are like, now all of a sudden, I don't think you can throw the ball the way Dak did. To like, what's the difference? And I'm a Dak guy. I'm not saying that Dalton can do what Dak can do. I'm simply asking, like, what can Andy Dalton do with these receivers?
I think Andy Dalton can do plenty. Like, he's not going to be quite as aggressive as Dak's been. He's probably not going to work that. My big question is, you've seen the development of Dak and CeeDee Lamb working the middle of the field, the deep middle of the field. They've had huge success there. And that's not a place where Andy Dalton throughout his career likes to work. He's not that deep middle guy. And right now, that's one of the bread and butter plays for the Cowboys, is just letting CeeDee Lamb go right into the 15 to 20 yards down the field, right in the middle, and Dak's hitting them. And throughout his career, Andy Dalton hasn't really done much of that. So and he's been a little bit more conservative. He's not a guy that usually wants to push the ball down the field a ton. And we've seen Dak over the last 2 years has really grown from that standpoint, where early on in his career he was kind of dinking and dunking. And the last 2 years, this dude's pushing the ball down the field, making huge plays. And so I think maybe your big playability from a passing standpoint offensively shrinks a little bit. But I also think you saw in that final drive of the game when Andy Dalton the defense knows you have to throw the ball. There's not enough time. You can't run the ball. You're not going to be surprising them with anything. The defense knows you're throwing it. You have to throw it, and it's crunch time. And Andy Dalton came up and made the plays, and that's what you have. And that's a guy who came into the game. There's a fumble. Things aren't going well. Oh, my gosh. But the veteran presence of Andy Dalton steps in there and says, okay, final drive of the game. I'll find Amari Cooper on a big, huge second down. I'll hit Michael Gallup a couple of times with some really, really nice throws. He made some nice throws. So you're not going to get the consistency of, oh my gosh, any given play, it feels like, unless one of these receivers makes just a great play, you're probably not going to have the big playability from a play-to-play basis. But I think Andy Dalton can come up with the handful of plays in certain games in those moments that do enough for you to say, okay, this guy, make you feel confident that you can go win games with this guy.
He's shown that if he has a receiver that he believes in, he'll throw it up and let them go up there and make a play. He did it with A.J. Green throughout their career. And I think he's got a trio of receivers that's better than any combo that he ever had in Cincinnati. So, I think that if he showed it with Michael Gallup, to your point on that final drive, if he believes in these guys, I think he's going to throw it up to them and let them go up there and make a play. And hopefully we start to see these receivers just showcase their ball skills and their talent, because this could be fun. For Andy Dalton, he's really playing with house money here. He should go out. He's got a chance to earn some money if he can play well down the stretch, whether it's with the Cowboys or another team. And I think most likely he'll parlay it into a contract if he's successful with somebody else that maybe needs a quarterback this offseason. I think the Cowboys are committed to Dak, but that's something that could turn into a conversation, because there's fans out there that think, well, Andy Dalton could have been the better option from the beginning.
So quick question, and then we'll get to dessert talk in 30 seconds or less. Is it possible for Andy Dalton to play well enough to where you start to question Dak's value? I'll start and say no. I think that, you can always catch lightning in a bottle. I just think that Dak has proven he is a franchise quarterback, and no sort of results from Andy Dalton will change my mind and make me think, oh, well, anyone could do it. I don't think it's going to happen, but even if it did, it wouldn't change my mind. But I'm curious about you guys.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jared, but I am excited to see what the difference is. Like putting in just like a starter level capable quarterback and just seeing what the results are and comparing that to what they are with Dak. I think that's going to be a fun exercise just to see, okay, what really is the gap? This offense with a capable quarterback versus a guy who in Dak Prescott is probably like a top 8 to 10 quarterback. What's the difference there? I'm excited about that.
I say no as well.
Okay.
Andy Dalton's not a spring chicken.
Yeah.
He's in the twilight of his career here. I don't think that's even a conversation.
Well, and it's not about the conversation isn't, well, now we're going to choose Dalton over Dak. It's more of, okay, if Dalton can do it and we don't think that highly of him, then maybe we don't need to pay Dak.
Sure. I get that.
All right. Desserts, International Dessert Day or Global Dessert Day or Universal, whatever it is. I think everyone, does anyone not like desserts? Like, I know that, you might not like ice cream, you might not like cake, but like everyone to some degree has got to like desserts, right? Even if it's in the bedroom or something.
Yeah, everybody has to have a dessert that they're a fan of. I do feel bad for the people that are lactose intolerant and can't enjoy the ice cream situation, which I think I read a statistic the other day, and it's like at least like almost 2/3 of America are lactose intolerant, which means there's a lot of people out there that just can't eat ice cream. And my heart goes out to each and every one of those human beings. There's nothing better than a warm brownie or a warm cookie paired with a nice vanilla or whatever it is, cold ice cream. That hot cold combo after a nice meal is one of the greatest things really in the history of food.
Yeah, give me a chocolate molten cake, give me a Pizookie, and I'm sitting heavenly in just delicious dessert heaven.
What about like a Rugalock or a Babka or something of that nature? Babka. I'm sorry.
Babka. Is it Babka? Isn't he the former head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, Mike Babcock? Babcock. Just curious, do you have like a strong negative feeling towards any particular dessert? Like you don't like cake or you don't like this or that? Like,
I think that I'm a huge advocate for certain pies, but there are other pies. Like I'm not. I guess I've grown into like the apple pie as long as it's hot and fresh, and I have like some cold vanilla ice cream to go with it. But in general, unless it's like an ice cream pie or a hair pie, something of that nature, I'm not much of a pie guy.
It's a terrible take, but I love pie, all kinds. Just not a coconut guy. The grainy texture of coconut puts me off.
Okay, that's pretty specific, but all right. I'll tell you this: like I like cheesecake. I like carrot cake, but like your standard generic birthday cake with standard icing or whatever. I mean, listen, if it's like put in front of me and I'm I want some dessert, like that's fine. But I do think there are better options. I think that the generic cake, your average cake is just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jared, but what's your go-to dessert? Like, if you're like, are you a big ice cream guy? Are you?
Well, yeah, I love ice cream.
Guy, brownies.
Yeah, I mean, I love ice cream. I can take or leave brownies. If I didn't have another brownie the rest of my life, like I probably wouldn't like be that upset. Now, if you want to go like creative, like caramel or something, like throw like some sexy flavors in, then all right, I'll party. It's not to say I don't like brownies. Also, another thing, I think like your average chocolate chip cookie kind of sucks. So yeah. I'll say this, like, I think that here's what I don't like about the chocolate chip cookie. I feel like the oatmeal chocolate chip I love. I feel like the standard dough thing for the chocolate chip cookie is usually just now there are good ones. I'm just talking about like your store-bought chocolate chip cookies. No. I love whipped cream, as you guys know. So if there's whipped cream, then I'm probably going to be pumped about it. I think like, I look at my dessert as an experience and not just like a one item thing. So like, you want to throw me like a Coke float. All right, let's get a Coke float for my beverage, my dessert beverage.
Root beer float?
No, I prefer the Coke float, but we can go root beer float. I don't have any issues with it. You get like chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream with you want to throw maybe some caramel cream on it, caramel cream. However you want to go caramel, you want to go caramel. It's another debate. And whipped cream, I'm good. That's great. I love a good cheesecake. I'm trying to think, like, you want to get like really, one of the things that I used to do, like I call it dessert popcorn, right? You get some kettle corn that you heat up in the microwave, bam. You get the bag, it expands. You crack the bag open just a little bit. You take, a handful of the Cadbury milk chocolate eggs. You dump them in the bag. You then kind of try and reseal it. You shake the bag. All right, get those chocolate eggs mixed in with the kettle corn. They soften. Sometimes they melt. If you want to get really like dirty and messy with your hands, you throw in some whipped cream. That's probably something only I would like. But I like that. All right. So I like the dessert popcorn with the icing. I make some, you melt the chocolate, you take a fork and you spread the whatever.
Doing a lot.
Yeah. I think, you make sure it's this and not that. I think you got a lot of options. All right. I'm a big fan of dessert. I'm trying, and then also like
creative with it. That's true. I mean, there's so many creative ways.
There really are. You mentioned the pizookie or whatever, like the chocolate, or the cookie with ice cream in the middle. Like those things are awesome. Klondike bars. I mean, Klondike bars are really good.
What would you do
for a Klondike bar?
Anything.
I'll take you up on that. Is there like a popsicle, like a non-chocolate or vanilla, but like an ice-based thing that you get? I'm asking, like
push ones that you got at summer camp.
You like those?
Like the colors? Oh, dude, those hit home for me. Those.
I used to love the Bomb Pop.
Bomb Pops, dude.
Which was your favorite part? The red, white, or the blue? Mine was the white and then the blue. Or I think it was the blue, then the white, then the red.
I always wanted more red. More red. Yeah, just kind of a red guy.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about fruits being a part of your dessert?
And like frozen grapes to me are a great like dessert type snack. Like if you've got a fruit platter, like I'll jam with that. But if I'm like really like I need some dessert, just some fruit probably ain't gonna satisfy me.
No, but like as a part of like I don't know, maybe there's a strawberry and chocolate with your cheesecake or something. I don't know, but people like to mix in fruits with their desserts sometimes.
Like a chocolate fountain.
The chocolate fountain, like strawberry. I don't mind the fruit with the dessert. I mean, I got some opinions on the fruits I like and don't like, but I don't mind fruits in general.
I'm okay with it.
The orange fruit, I'm not as big of a fan of. I think is that just melon or whatever? I don't know.
It's not oranges.
No, I like oranges. I'm talking the other one, like the So there's like honeydew melon and then
Oh, like
just
cantaloupe and stuff.
cantaloupe. Yeah, cantaloupe, overrated.
It's disgusting. I don't like cantaloupe at all. It's awful.
Big fan. Bad take, boys.
Well, that's a horrible take by you.
Yeah.
Nope. Love
Is
my
there, and then last thing, is there like a store-bought ice cream? And by the way, let's also give some love here. I mean, just Bluebell vanilla is like,
Ooh, yeah.
it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Snow cones are great, by the way. Let's give, but not the ice cream truck snow cones. Those suck. You go to like a snow cone place where they got lots of different
shaved
flavors.
ice.
What's that?
The shaved ice place.
Shaved ice. Yeah. But okay, is there something you can go to a grocery store and buy like your go-to store-bought dessert?
Yeah, it's the Ben and Jerry's half-baked ice cream. You get a little brown, you get chunks of brownie, get chunks of cookie. It's just, I mean, it's delightful.
Yeah, I'm okay with Ben and Jerry's too. I'm really Moose Tracks is a good ice cream that I'm down for. They usually have a bunch of chunky deliciousness in there as well.
You ever had a little moose knuckle?
No, don't know what that is.
Wow, you're missing out, isn't he, Jared?
I don't know what that is either. Hey, let's get some love for s'mores too.
Oh, hell yes. Love a good s'more.
And if you don't, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just think the s'more environment's always really fun, you know, because it's like it's a moment, you know, there's something fun about it where it's communal almost.
If you don't want to go through the trouble of like making s'mores and whatnot, we found a really good like s'mores trail mix. It's just like the ingredients of s'mores. So good. So good.
Okay.
That's incredible.
What do you think about
Crazy,
Pop-Tarts?
Pop-Tarts?
Yeah, the s'mores Pop-Tart.
Oh yeah, I used to mess with that. Yeah. My favorite was still the brown sugar cinnamon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
No. Yeah. What, you got a problem with the brown sugar cinnamon, Eric?
Yeah, I think it's the worst of the Pop-Tarts.
I feel bad for your daughter.
I'm a s'mores Pop-Tart guy. I'm a cookies and cream Pop-Tart guy.
Oh, yes. Strawberry is always classic.
Yeah, I like the strawberry Pop-Tart.
Okay, last thing. Dark chocolate. Do you guys like dark chocolate? I don't like dark chocolate.
Yeah, I can do dark chocolate.
I don't discriminate against any of the chocolates, really.
Absolutely.
I'm more of a milk chocolate. Do you guys like white chocolate? I like white chocolate.
Big fan.
Okay. So I like it, but it would be my least favorite of the chocolates.
Okay. All right. I'm more about, I like good quality, so I like them all.
Cookies and cream is kind of, in my wheelhouse. So I'm about the white chocolate.
Okay. That works for me. All right, fellas. Just hanging with the nosebleed seats. Talk to you guys next week.
Love you.